Hello and welcome to the Now What Next Steps podcast here at Malibu Pacific Church. And boy, do I love using my radio vid.
I sound good.
Hey, thanks.
Sound like a radio guy.
I like to be a radio guy. Hey, everybody, it's me, Joel. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, everybody, it's me, Joel. So excited that you're here listening to the Now What Next Steps podcast here at Malibu Pacific Church. If you haven't listened to the sermon yet from this past Sunday, please press pause and go back and listen to that sermon so this podcast makes a little more sense. But if you're feeling, I don't know, adventurous and you just want to keep listening, by all means, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. So you're still listening, which means that you're here with us for the next, 4 hours, Andy?
No, give us 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20
Hang in
minutes.
there with us. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about this past Sunday, and we want questions from you guys. We're always constantly asking the questions, now what? Like, what's the next step that I could take here at Malibu Pacific Church? So if you have a question for Andy or you just want to stump him theologically, by all means.
Which wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, like if God could do anything, could God make a rock big enough that he couldn't lift? So then he can't do everything. Just
Wait
kidding.
a second. Yeah, we have a theological problem now.
There we go. No, but if you have some, serious question, any question whatsoever, please send those in. We'd love to answer them. So let's deep dive into Keep the Change, sermon number 2.
That's right.
In this brand new series where Andy's asking everybody for money. Is that what you're doing?
No, and I make sure every week everybody knows, relax. You can feel the tension.
You totally can.
You really can. You say, hey, we're going to talk about money, and everybody gets all tensed up. We're not fundraising.
Uh-huh.
We're not trying to get something from you.
Nope.
We want something for you. God wants something for you. So that's why we're talking about it.
What?
Yeah.
You're not doing a fundraiser at a
Not
church?
doing a fundraiser. No, we can talk about it without asking for it.
Is this a bait and switch? Are you going to ask for it next week?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. By the way, we're trying to build a new building. You can send them. We're totally kidding. No, it really is an awesome sermon series, and it has a lot of people talking. A lot of emails coming in or texts. Or my favorite is when we say it's going to be awkward that we're talking about money and you feel everybody just kind of clench up a little bit. And then it just, you can feel it in the room. So what made you want to go and talk about this money aspect, especially at a Sunday service at a church?
Well, because Jesus talked more about money, and actually the little translation is stuff. So whenever you see manna or things or Jesus talking about with the rich young ruler or whoever, he's talking about not just money like our the paper stuff, but he's talking about all our stuff, everything that we own. And Jesus talked more about our stuff than any other subject combined in the New Testament. Because, as we've been discussing, we're not talking about actually money. We're talking about our hearts. Because our hearts are connected to our money, and God is interested in our hearts. So the only way to talk about our hearts is to talk about our money. So Jesus did it, so we're going to do the same thing here.
Wow. Jesus really talked about money more than anything else.
Heaven, hell, and love, and everything else. Yeah, you could put it all together.
Wow. Or I guess stuff is what you're saying.
Yeah,
stuff. Okay, so we're in session number 2. If there was one thing that somebody could walk away with that morning, like just like a sentence or a thought, what would it have been?
Well, we talked about extra and what to do with our extra. Mm-hmm. And we're feeling the pinch right now in our society because our extra has been reduced. We're still living indoors. We're still eating, but our extra has been minimized, with the economy and inflation and everything that's happening. So The bottom line is for this week, as we talk about our extra and the story that we'll get into, the issue is, what did the rich farmer do with his extra? And that's the same question for all of us. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is, go home, here's the homework, and find out how much you gave to a nonprofit this past year. The average person gives about 2%, the average American, not Christian, just American in the United States. Politicians give even less.
Ooh.
So, but I challenged everybody at the end because I said, most people probably don't know what you gave this last year because we're spontaneous givers and there's a need and we go to a fundraiser and let's, somebody, they need some money and we give it away, but we have no idea what percentage of our income we gave to in generosity to give it away,
Totally.
to help somebody.
One of my favorite things you said was find out what you gave, and you don't have to give here. Like, I thought that was really bold and brave and really amazing, because it wasn't like, now you have to go back and you have to give more to here, to here, to here. You're like, no, I challenge you. And you even said, you can't trust a pastor, kind of a deal.
They don't trust me. I mean, they don't trust not just me personally, but every pastor in America is trying to fundraise or wants your money. Or if you're skittish about religion or church and they've ripped me off before, I don't trust those people. I get it. Mm-hmm. So if this is truly for you, well, then go home and figure out what percentage you gave last year, 2022. Let's do it right now. This week, go and figure out what percentage you gave.
Yep.
And at least know that number, know what it is.
Yeah.
Be honest about it.
Yeah.
And, and I think it's important that then pick a percentage to give this next year. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be a mystery. I mean, it's something that we can choose. It's something I'm in control of. I know how much comes in, and I'm the one who's controlling what goes out. So I get to pick the percentage that goes out and what I'm living on and how much I'm going out to dinner or entertainment or vacations. I actually get to pick that. Mm-hmm. So same thing with our generosity. We need to pre-decide. That's the important part. What percentage are you and I going to give this next year?
Yes.
Towards a nonprofit. And pick something that you trust. Start there. Because this is for you. We're not trying to get something from you.
Totally. Yeah, I give my money to Disneyland enthusiasts. So
is that a nonprofit?
For people who can't be at Disneyland daily.
Yeah.
Sarah McLachlan starts playing everything. I will remember you. We raise billions. Anywho.
Joel has given a lot of money to this nonprofit called Disneyland.
Yeah, absolutely. Anywho, they're struggling, but it's going to be okay.
They're going to be
it's
okay.
A tough season. Sorry, I can't even laugh about that. Okay, but
for everybody who doesn't know, Joel's a fan of Disneyland.
I am.
So that's a little insider joke there.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, so loved how you opened up the sermon with there's a visual of a picture, and it was food scraps.
Yeah.
Behind you as you were preaching, showed somebody putting food scraps down the sink, and I loved what you talked about in there. You're talking about the extra. Can you dive a little bit more into just the visualization of the food scraps?
Absolutely. I mean, what do we throw away? Stuff we just ate. You go to any other country in the world, you never throw food away, ever. So if you are throwing food away, you have extra.
Yeah.
And we as Americans, I don't think we have extra because we spend everything we take in.
Totally.
And then, of course, we're in Malibu. We're comparing ourselves with other people who have more than us.
Totally.
So we're thinking, no, they have extra, not me, because look at how much they have or how much they make. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we see ourselves as people with extra. Mm-hmm. But if we're throwing food away, we have extra. Yeah.
I got to be honest, I compare myself often. Being here in Malibu is amazing. It's such a gift. But there are times where I'm like, I should just drive a Tesla. And in my mind, I'm like, I drive a Prius that has low mileage, does almost the exact same thing. Everything works.
It works.
It's awesome. And I'm like, I'm driving the poor man's Tesla. And I'm like, woe is me. And I'm like, I got to get over myself with that.
Well, let me say this.
Yeah.
I've, in 30 years of ministry, a lot of people I met or couples who come in for counseling because they're getting ready for a divorce. Typically, the number one subject that comes up is finances. They can't talk about it. They're mad. One's a spender, one's a saver.
Yep.
They're fighting over something. They come into my office. I end up finding out, I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times they're upside down financially. And I thought for years they were multi-gazillionaires. And they leveraged every penny that they had. They bought a house that they couldn't afford. They bought cars. They were leveraged over the top, extravagant vacations that then they can post on social media so everybody's jealous. And then nobody knows that they don't have a penny to their, everything's on credit.
Yep.
And I thought they were rich. I was like, I actually have more money than them and I don't have very much, but I'd rather sleep at night and drive a Prius. Joel, I can't tell you how long, I'm trying to think, how many old cars we had.
Totally.
They were all hand-me-downs from my parents. We had 3 little kids. I was hardly making any money. We just didn't buy a new car for years.
Yep.
I think when we first moved here, because I'm trying to compete.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Malibu pastor.
Yeah, well, the car we turned in was a Volkswagen Jetta with 220,000 miles on it. And the air conditioning went out, and I took it to the shop, and they said, this car is done. It was done at 150,000.
Yep.
You're at 220.
Yep.
You are done.
Yeah.
And do not throw another dollar into this thing. So finally, we're like, we need to get something that's reliable.
Yeah.
My other car that I have has 230,000 miles on it, and it's paid for, and it runs great still. So, I'd rather sleep at night.
I would too, actually.
And not be in debt and live like that.
There have been so many times where, those little offers come through that's like credit card offers that are like enticing, and they know exactly what words they want. Because they want your business kind of a deal.
Absolutely.
And there was a couple of moments there where I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. And then thankfully I just have the best wife in the world. And Shannon's like, no, come on. You walk to work.
Yeah. Right.
Your Prius has 110,000 miles on it. And it's almost 10 years old. And it's in great shape. Anyways. And I'm like, you know what? You're totally right. And so it's just great to have those people in your life who can really, balance you out and ask those questions. So I want to ask that to you who's listening right now. Do you have somebody or a group of people in your life who can help you with that? If not, we have a great resource that we talked about on Sunday. Handed out a little QR code. We're handing out some postcards this week and really talking about it. Do you want to dive into that a little bit more, Andy?
Yeah, it's Crown Financial Services Ministries. They are absolutely outstanding. They've been around forever. I would say Dave Ramsey and Crown are the 2 premier companies, Christian companies, to help people get their finances in order, get out of debt, plan for the future.
Totally.
So for $39.95, we have a QR code, but you just go yourself, crownfinancialministries.com, I think. Just look it up, Google it. The section to the bottom left, you'll just see, get a coach.
Yeah.
Press on that button, $39.95, 6 sessions with a coach to go through your budget and then start planning for your future. $40, I don't know how they can afford that. I don't know how they're doing it. So, but just highly, highly encourage it. It's like taking your car in for a tune-up. I think we mentioned that last week. It's a checkup. It should be something we do every year. And just what are the percentages? Jesus cares about percentages. You're living on a percentage. You probably don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Food, housing, entertainment, generosity, car, vacations. All of those are percentages of your income. Do you know what those are? If I were to ask you right now, what's your percentage that you're living on in those different areas? And you probably don't know. So Crown Financial is just the best. They also have all the tools to set up a budget. They give you everything. So, just go there. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's like your car needs a tune-up. You got to take it in.
Absolutely. And if you've used Crown before and you want to try something different, Dave Ramsey, like Andy was mentioning, Shannon and I got to do the Dave Ramsey steps, and it was so freeing. We're debt-free and just living good life, which is just awesome to say.
USA Today article. Anybody read that? Maybe not. Nobody reads the newspaper anymore, but my wife Kelly does. But it was sitting on our.
I downloaded it.
Yeah, I downloaded it. I know. Kelly loves the newspaper, but anyway, she's reading it. Second page with the business section. Huge article today, whatever day this is. What is this? The 21st. It talks. They're making the observation or just reporting. More people are in debt. I think it was 61% of Americans are over their heads. They didn't use the word upside down. I am, but financially, because they are using their credit cards more than ever. It shot up like crazy this past year. So the moment you're you're in debt. What is a credit card? 21% that you're paying or more?
20 to 29.
20 to 29.
Yep.
Hey, everybody, if you're doing that, you are upside down. Get out of debt. But more and more Americans, I think that's why it's important we're having this conversation. Get out of debt. Get out of debt. I'm sounding like Dave Ramsey, but cut your credit cards. Get out of debt because you end up 20, 30, 40, 50,000. It'll take you a long time to get out of that hole. So I just want to encourage everybody. Yeah, don't do that. It's better to drive an old car.
Absolutely.
Drive into an old car and then stay out of debt rather than get a new car and be in debt.
Couldn't agree more. It's really, I mean, it helped my family immensely with the freedoms and having a better sleep at night too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy how much that just like, I think that's why the whole room, when we were talking about, we're going to talk about money, just one of those topics of like, and the church is just going to ask me for more of it and I don't have more. And it's like, no. The church is actually coming alongside each other in this church body to talk about a resource to have you have a better life.
We're here to help.
Exactly.
Life is complicated.
It is.
You are trying to get it right. We are here to help. That may make sense now. You help me out. This Sunday, when you talk about money, everybody tenses up. Maybe it's because, oh no, he's going to do a fundraiser. He's going to ask me, and I can't give.
And
I think most people want to give.
I think so too. I think generosity is in every human heart.
I want to help. Yeah. But if you're in debt, you really can't. Totally. Now you feel guilty, and now it's shame on you. And I don't want anybody to feel that shame.
No,
we're not here for that. So I think that's a great point. It's like if 61% of the people sitting, if that article is correct, sitting here in our seats, and 61% are upside down or in major financial credit card debt. Yeah, I can see why people would feel tense.
Totally. Or I can't go to that church because I'm not able to give to that church.
Ooh.
So I'm not a church people. I can't do that. So it's not for me because God is a subscription.
Great insight. That's a great insight.
Yeah, when it's not.
Now this church isn't for me, and our vision is create a church for everybody. I didn't even think of that. So now we just caused a divide.
Totally.
I can't go to that church because I can't give. So we backed it up 2, 3, 4, 10 steps. We're not talking about generosity here. We are talking about your finances, how you think about money, and Jesus wants to help you be free.
Absolutely. And it's not supposed to feel the guilt of it. It's supposed to feel the change in all of it too, like wanting to do better. Speaking of change or even a little bit of guilt, as the food was going down the sink with that imagery right there, we have an amazing audio engineer. His name is Michael. You see him, say hi to him. He leans over to me at that moment and he goes, there's fresh, clean water pushing the food down.
Yeah.
And he's like, most people don't even have that. And I was like, ooh, there's so much more to this visual. And it made me feel guilty. And he just kind of laughed. He's like, that wasn't the thing. And he just shared with me just a little small story of some, his family background and a little bit of financial hardship in a little part of his life. And I was like, oh, there's so much more to this story than just money. There's so much more than just stuff. This is something that impacts every single human. This impacts every single family, every single person on this earth. But we're coming at it in a way that is a resource or a tool to help us navigate this even better. Sure. So the Crown Financial thing, I highly, highly, highly recommend going and doing that. All right, so last couple of things before we wrap up this podcast. Thank you so much for listening for these 20 minutes, but I have a pretty big question. Andy,
I can't wait.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, you mentioned last week that Kelly's the one who does finances. You just found out that was that. Before Kelly, when you were a single stallion, how were you with your finances?
Oh my goodness. What finances? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How was I? Well, I am a spender. I am the spender. But even I want to sleep at night. I feel like pretty fiscally conservative. Like I said, for 25 years, never bought a car. I don't think we had a new TV, even when all the flat screens were coming out. We had the monster long thing.
Box.
We had that box.
Tube television?
Oh my gosh. We had that for years. But Kelly helped me not buy a flat screen TV 4K for years. But how was I? I mean, I didn't spend on answer. Here I am hesitating. But
we'll see you next week, everybody. No.
For me, money has been a means of, it's a tool to get or accomplish or experience something. Mm-hmm. And my personality is to experience things. So
Same.
When I invested or take a trip, I don't see it like spending money. It's life giving to me. But I always need to stay in check that, hey, do you really need that? And even now and then, I've had to have a gut check, as far as, I don't want to say if it's an addiction, but it's like it makes you feel good. Mm. And so rather than going and drinking or something, it's like, go buy something. And I would say that for me as a kid, really, as a missionary kid, we really did not have anything. Mm-hmm. I was as poor as you could get in Brazil with all our Brazilian really poor friends. And so I've experienced that side of things. And when we came back to the United States after living in Brazil for a few years, and all of the wealth, it really was overwhelming. And my mom and dad just tried to bless us with things. And I was taught, I'm not buying this just because we need to buy it, I'm trying to love you. So it was a love language, gift giving. So I think that's, even my mom was, stuff and things wasn't just purchasing in order to, just trying to buy something. We were not trying to keep up with the Joneses by any means. It really, honestly, was her way of loving us kids. And we didn't have this for so many years in Brazil, and I just want to love you kids. So my mom would buy things to really bless us, and I really took it that way.
Yeah.
And so, again, high school, got my own job. I cleaned pools and cleaned windows.
Nice.
And made my own money and worked for it and saved it, really, and bought a car. Mm-hmm. It wasn't new. It was an old banged up Toyota 5-gear thing. I forgot what it was even at that point. But and then college and seminary, I had zero money, zero.
Yeah.
I was buying food and books.
Yeah.
So then first job as a United Methodist pastor, making $19,000 a year. We had nothing.
Big bucks.
Big bucks.
Heck
We had nothing, and our parents.
What's up,
Kelly's
money?
Kelly's mom and dad gave us their car, and my mom and dad gave us their car.
Incredible.
That's what we had, and we drove those things into the ground. So years and years, just not a lot, but I've appreciated it. But we use it now. We save. We're saving for our future. We are, Kelly and I, now can be more generous with others. We always were. Let me back up even a second there. We always gave 10% of our income, no matter whatever it was, 100,000 or 19,000. We always gave 10%. So that kept us in check and kept our hearts in check and kept the greed in check. So I'm not sure if I answered that. That was a really good question.
Thank you. No, you did. You gave us, that's what we're looking for. It's just kind of your backstory with all of this too, because sometimes people put pastors on a pedestal and be like, well, he's never sinned or he's never had issues with his money because he's a pastor. It's like, no. Andy's human. And his story is just as important as your story too, whoever's listening right now. And we want to take your story serious. We want to hear about it too.
I think that's an important point. Like, I'm sharing my story here just intuitively. You all have a story out there as well, and how you were raised and what your mom and dad or whoever raised you, how they handled money. You were watching that as a kid, not just
Yeah.
You out there listening. So we picked up and you learned that. So my story is different than your story.
Totally.
And how I use it and spend it and so forth, all of us need to have a heart check, but we learned it from somewhere.
Totally.
So it's your story and it's what you learned. And so, but God is trying to teach us a new economy and how to see money the way he sees money, and not the way that your mom or dad or grandpa, uncle, aunt, or whoever raised you saw money. Because typically they probably didn't do it well. I'm guessing out there.
I think it's a struggle for everybody. And then some others, you might think that they have it all together, but it's been a struggle at some point or another. So this is a great chance to get that oil change, to use Crown Financial, use those 6 sessions, $40, get some skin in the game, get it all checked. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or hand gestures, please send those into office@malibupacific.church. Love to hear your questions. And again, thank you so much for tuning into the Next Steps Now What podcast. Again, this comes out every Monday. I would love for you to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and share this podcast with a friend, because this conversation will be ongoing. So again, if you have any questions, send them in. Love to chat. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye.
Take care.